one of the things we talk about is, in this concept of teams, there's a couple of things I'm going to go down the list, but one of the most important is empowerment, right? So what does that mean? So as a CEO, I've got people that work for me. They're responsible for their own budgets. They're responsible for getting done what I ask them to get done. But I can't micromanage them on a day-to-day basis. I can't be looking over their shoulder and making sure that they're doing everything that they need to do. I have to trust that they're doing what they're doing because they're mature professionals. We're not hiring people in kindergarten, right? They're all adults. They get paid a good salary. So I'm empowering them to make certain decisions. With that is a fair amount of trust that they're not going to do anything reckless to harm the business, harm the brand, or get me in trouble as the CEO where I have to get a lawyer involved. But with that comes some accountability. So if I empower somebody, so if Matthew works for me and I say, Matthew, I want you to run the West Coast operations for sales. I'm not going to check in with you every day. I'm not going to tell you what to do every day. You're not going to call me in the morning and say, what do I need to do today, boss? I'm going to empower you to do that. But at the end of the week or at the end of the month, I expect you to have done this and this and this. And that's all we're going to talk about at the end of the month, is these 3 or 4 things. Did you accomplish them or not? What do you think happens if he doesn't accomplish those things? Right? So there's a little bit of oversight and a little bit of supervision there, maybe some correction from a management standpoint, but I'm trusting in the person I'm giving that responsibility to. But there's also the other side of that same coin, as we say. You have to be accountable for your actions. If you're going to take on the job, and you're going to rise to that occasion and maybe get paid more salary for those kinds of responsibilities, you have to live up to that and you have to do the job and be responsible for that. That's the other aspect of that is responsibility. So if a vice president has people that are reporting to them, they're responsible for the actions or performance of their subordinates. Everybody knows what an org chart is in the company, right? You look at that and you can see a typical conventional organizational chart, and there's a few sayings about it kind of flowing downhill. Authority and power usually gets dictated from the top, from the corner office, and information flows back up. Well, in Stan McChrystal's book, they talk about that not being very successful, at least in his former life, and conveying that kind of information in a business environment, it doesn't work that great either, especially in large corporations like like Etisalat, like IBM, like GE, where you can't just have the CEO telling all the vice presidents what to do every day, and then they tell their regional managers what to do. It's very inefficient. You have to trust and empower people to go do things as a team, hence the name, Team of Teams, at least in the book, to go and do things as long as they're aligned with the CEO's vision or the corporate strategy, given the power and the authority and the responsibility to do that. And what comes with that is usually financial authority, budget, certain parameters to do that. One thing that I always encourage people when I hire them, and I don't hire everybody in the company, right? There's other people that are responsible for that, but certainly the senior people or key roles in the company, sales, marketing, director of software support, I encourage them to fail. And that may sound crazy. We're a small company, 25, 30 people at most, got good revenues. So you would think it's counterintuitive that I would encourage people to fail, because that's generally thought of as bad in business, right? But it's not. Anybody here watch the show on Discovery Channel, Mythbusters? Come on, don't be afraid, it's okay to admit it. It's pretty geeky, it's very science-oriented, but one of the things that they say all the time is failure is an option. Because you learn from that. Both scientifically, right, that's the scientific process, is you experiment, you observe the results, you record the results, did it fail, succeed, or what? How did you learn about that, and what did you do to evolve? It's absolutely true in business, right? So if the failure doesn't put the business out of business, it's a success. You will learn. If you don't learn, shame on you. You're not taking full advantage of everything you have at your disposal. So even in somebody's role as a marketing person, if they want to try something, a new marketing campaign or a new Twitter kind of advertising approach, or taking a survey or a poll of customers, if you're going to try something, I encourage people to go try it. Here's a budget, tell me what it's going to cost, when's it done, and how are we going to measure the results? What's a measure of success or failure? go do that. And if it fails, nobody gets fired. But what do we do with that failure as an educational experience? Now, you have to win more than you lose, right? You have to succeed more than you fail, otherwise you go out of business. I mean, that's kind of a fundamental principle, unless you're somehow subsidized by the government or somebody with really deep pockets that doesn't mind throwing money. Think of the presidential campaign in the United States. You know, they pour a lot of their own money into that, and most of them lose, right? There's 20 some odd people running for president in the United States right now, billions of dollars being spent. There's only one winner. So everybody else is losers, and they spend a lot of money doing that. I wouldn't exactly say that is a great example of failing is a good option, because the outcomes are not exactly pure.